It's Michelle from Women Who Wow. Not sure who you are expecting, but you're here for another episode of the Women Entrepreneur Success Show. And today we're talking about 6 uncelebrated laws of success for women entrepreneurs. Give you a quick tip. Most of these are uncelebrated, untalked about because they're a little bit inconvenient, but that's okay because other things that I really dislike are inconvenient, like living paycheck to paycheck and not knowing where the money's coming from and all the things that are a reality for a lot of entrepreneurs and were a reality for me. So I would much prefer to do the inconvenient or align myself with the inconvenient laws of wild success on my own terms rather than avoid the rather than kind of just submit and acquiesce to the inconvenience of living in failure, right? So I'm very excited to be here with you guys today. As always, I want to share this live stream so the women entrepreneurs who need it can hear it. If you are here live, I would love for you to actually, even if you're watching the replay, pop a comment in there. Let me know who you are, that you're here, what business you're in, where you're from, whatever you feel like sharing. And we are going to make sure that we give you everything you need to build a successful business on your own terms. And specifically today, I'm talking about financial success, just so we're clear. Like specifically today, I'm talking about the financial success because sometimes I think that gets confused, especially in the world of women entrepreneurs. I'll never forget talking to this one lady who had just had her first event, and I asked her, I asked her how it went, and she said it was amazing and it was everything she ever wanted it to be and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, this is great news. And, but in reality, she had lost $40,000 on this event. And I'm thinking, if I lose $40,000, like the last thing I'm claiming is success, right? So, for our purposes today, I am talking about financial success, right? So, not just feeling like you're winning, but also financially, making gains in your business and meaningful gains. So, sorry about that. Let me just, if you're here, then pop a comment in. Let me know that you are here so I can know who's here and who's watching the replay. But I want to talk about these 6 laws of success. And this is really continuing success, right? So the first one is the law of enthusiasm. The law of enthusiasm, right? Like when your phone battery or computer battery is low, the first thing that takes a hit to save the battery on your computer or your phone is the light, right? It's the brightness of the display. And so if you consider the parallel in your own life and business, when your enthusiasm takes a hit, right? When your enthusiasm takes a hit, then the brightness of your display takes a hit. Your bright light, the things that, the thing that penetrates the market, all of a sudden takes a hit. So when you are considering what is going to get you to the next level, what's going to sustain you at the level that you're at, then you need to consider your own level of enthusiasm. Napoleon Hill was big on this. He has some great principles that I think people put in the realm of like metaphysical, and it's really quite practical, like the law of enthusiasm. I think he calls it like the law of burning desire, but he talks about having a burning desire, a fascination with, a heart for the work that you do, something that's pulling you forward, right? And so you want to fan the flames of your own enthusiasm. So sometimes that means going to a conference, learning more stuff. Sometimes that means immersing yourself in the world of your ideal client and figuring out all the ways that you can help them and the ways you have helped them in the past. But also, you're going to figure out what dulls your light and your enthusiasm, what eats up your own enthusiasm. It could be that you need to take some things off of your plate. For people who are thinking like fancy for you to say, I can't afford that, that's okay. You can afford maybe 2 hours a week. You can afford a $29 a month membership to fancyhands.com or .net or whatever. You can afford to pawn off, pay off some stuff that is dulling your light. You also want to know what replenishes your own enthusiasm. For me, it's journaling, messaging, live streaming, right? Sometimes when I feel like I got nothing, right? Like I will immediately go to market. I will schedule unannounced calls with Women Who Wow members. I will go and do a live stream because these things dial up my enthusiasm and I know it, right? And so you need to know what dials up your enthusiasm. And you also need to keep track of what's dulling it down, what's eating away at your enthusiasm, because enthusiasm matters. Everybody that I know that's a multi-six-figure, seven-figure earner in business, they are enthusiastic. They're passionate about what they do. They're not just like dialing it in, right? Like they've got some passion behind it. The second law of financial success for women entrepreneurs is keeping the end vision in mind, right? As women, I think it's kind of, I don't know. I feel like women deal with this a little bit more than men, but we tend to get into the day-to-day and the how and the details and the murky, muddy waters of all of this stuff, and we lose sight of our end vision, right? It's why that we start at the beginning of the year and we are like so pumped up and we're going to set the world on fire and we're going to do X, Y, Z and we're going to do blah, 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 blah. And it's like then by like March, not only is our enthusiasm a little bit down, right? It's not only that, but also we are beginning to lose that end vision, or at least our belief in the end vision, right? It starts to feel way, way far away. But the people who I know who are really killing it in business, they keep that end vision in mind. I keep that end vision in mind. It's part of my daily like routine is writing out, or sometimes even listening to in my own voice, the goals that I'm pursuing, right? So keep that end vision in mind. You know, and also it's like I live in this balance, right? And everybody who I personally know who is doing really well in business, they live in a little bit of a balance of, you know, end vision and today's aligned action, right? And so you want to always dig into your vision. I hate the fact that most vision board classes and most goal setting classes and most of that happens at the very beginning of the year. And I mainly hate that it doesn't happen after that beginning of the year, right? So we need this kind of stuff all year round, and I want you to dig into your end vision every single day, right? So you want to make sure that you are keeping track of this, that you are making sure that you you know, have your end vision in mind. And for another little quick practical tidbit, when you have your end vision in mind, it's easier to decide what today's aligned actions are, right? So for me, I always ask, is what I'm doing today, is the natural, normal, logical result of what I'm doing today, is it the vision I'm going after, right? So I like to do actions and take actions and build habits and routine that naturally lead to what I want, right? Versus, you know, doing a bunch of in order to stuff where the natural outcome is not what I want. So anyway, so they keep the end vision in mind. Law number 3, they recommit when challenged. All leaders, all winners are not intimidated by a challenge. They're riled up by it, right? They are riled up by it. I wrote a post about maybe a year ago, and you know, it was talking about people. There's like kind of 3 competitors in life, right? There are people who win, W-I-N, they win when they can. Those are the majority of people, right? If they can win, they'll win. There are people who win because winning is what they do, baby. It is what they do. It is an extension of, you know, being who they are. And there are people who win because it's who we are. It's who we are, right? And it's like the competitor you don't want, the challenger you don't want is the person who wins because it's who she is, right? The person you want to be is the person who wins because it's who I am. And so when you are challenged in your business, as all of us are, challenged by external circumstances, challenged by a new competitor, challenged by our own like circumstances in life, whatever is challenging you, if you are to be one of the way too few women who make it into multi-six figures and 7-figure success on her own terms, you're going to have a law, a policy, a personal operating system that says, I recommit when challenged. I double down when challenged, right? Truth is, it's easy to stay positive and optimistic when things are going really well, right? It's less easy to stay the course, to stay positive and energetic after you start hitting some snags and some obstacles, right? When you look up and realize that you've gone down a side road for way too long and you need to backtrack, right? We've all been there. We need to recommit when we're challenged. That's a law of financial success. We don't need to necessarily pause. We don't need to necessarily doubt ourselves. We don't need to necessarily figure out the emotional or generational or whatever why we went down the wrong road. What we do need to do is recommit when challenged. Go back to law number 2 and keep that end vision in mind and say, you know what? I recommit. A lot of times people give up, and I'm like, you know what? These circumstances are here to give you the opportunity to show the world what you're made of, to give you the opportunity to say, nah, I won't joking. I was not joking about that goal. I'm dead serious, and I recommit, right? So that's the other law, recommit when you're challenged. I have a belief, I guess, like something I've chosen into where I always make the right decision. I'm always on the right path. It's something I just kind of have chosen into. Because when I look back, even when I thought I was going way off course and I was wrong and I stayed too long and blah, 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 it always served me, right? So recommit when you're challenged. Law number 4, you keep going after success. You keep going after success. You don't coast, right? You don't coast. There's too much start and stop in the entrepreneurial world, right? There's no momentum when there's a start and stop. And sometimes we stop after a failure, but a lot of times we stop after a success, right? So we have this big launch, and then we're like, whoo, kind of like I am like this week with the wedding, right? My daughter got married on Saturday. It was super, super hectic leading up into that. And so, this week I kind of imagined myself a little bit like dull or, worn out and just kind of going through the motions. I fortunately feel a lot better than that. But a lot of times we can have a big success and then we coast, right? We coast, we take it easy. And while I'm guilty of not celebrating like I should, not taking time to smell the roses of things that I've created or whatever, here's one thing that I've realized about success, right? Huge successes do not come in seasons. They do not come in waves, as people might tell you. Huge successes are built by building momentum daily, right? So you want to make sure that you are building momentum daily. Why not? It doesn't take that much effort, but I tell you what, it's just like a plane. Like, it takes a lot of effort to get the plane off the ground, a lot of effort and energy and, whatever. And so, but once you're flying, it takes a lot less energy to keep it going. The same as if you were learning how to spin plates or, whatever, right? Like you get it spinning and then it only takes a touch every once in a while. So keep going after success. Certainly keep going after failure. But the laws of financial success for women is we need to embrace the fact that success is built by daily momentum and keep that, that foot on the gas. The 5th law is the principle or the law of always tweaking, right? Always tweaking. I used to laugh I didn't laugh until I realized that other people weren't laughing. But, when I was selling one-on-one work with my with clients, I would say my stuff works 100% of the time. My marketing, whatever, selling them. My stuff works 100% of the time. And they would not laugh. I thought that was a funny joke because no one's stuff works 100% of the time. And I later learned that that's what a lot of advertisers, like people who sell advertising, were telling them. And I'm like, no. My stuff works 100% of the time because if it's not working, I tweak it. There's a law of always tweaking, of course, correcting, right? We've got to be nimble and agile in entrepreneurship. We've got to be willing to tweak always. Right? If it's working, keep doing it. Throw more fuel on it. If it's not working, you got to tweak and course correct, guys. Right? Persistence is only a virtue if you're persisting in the right direction. And sometimes we're not. So you want to have a law of tweaking always. Always making sure you're not so tied to a course of action that you're unwilling to switch gears when it's no longer working or not working. So that's the 5th law of financial success for women entrepreneurs. I'll tell you a few I'm going to go into the 6th one, which a lot of people might have an issue with, but I want to go back because there is some there's some inconvenience about these laws, right? So there's some inconvenience about these laws. When I talk about the law of enthusiasm, the inconvenient part is that people want to consider enthusiasm or mood or inspiration an outside job. In other words, it's like, I'm not inspired today. Well, woman, whose fault is that? Inspire yourself, right? Like, we want to make sure that we are not trying to outsource, being inspired or enthusiastic. The inconvenient part of keeping the end vision in mind is that the inconvenient part is we are not willing to busy ourselves into an early grave without aligning our actions with purpose. And sometimes people resent you for that. Make no mistake. The third law, recommit when you're challenged, right? This is inconvenient because a lot of times we have been conditioned to take challenge as an obstacle or a sign that we need to stop, right? If Moses did that in the Bible, it wouldn't be so good for the Israelites. Does that make sense? Right? We should expect challenge and obstacles. It's just part of the way we live. And so we need to recommit when we're challenged. We need to accept challenge as part of doing great things. The inconvenient part of keep going after success is the whole world of women entrepreneurship is started to kind of downplay the fact that we're living in a cause and effect world and we're supposed to be the cause of the effect that we want, right? So these are inconvenient, but not as inconvenient as living, paycheck to paycheck and not knowing where your money's coming from and when you're going to be able to pay X, Y, Z. That's inconvenient too. It's like choose your hard, right? I'm going to go into the sixth law of success. If you guys know of a woman entrepreneur who should hear these, then share this whatever it is, show, Facebook Live, and or you can share it publicly or share it with someone afterwards in a private message. But get this in front of women entrepreneurs that you know and love. The sixth law is take center stage, right? The sixth law is the law of center stage. And that is asking yourself, how can I be ever more on display? This is not about ego. It is not about ego. It is not about, this is why like doctors should do it, veterinarians should do it, authors should do it, coaches should do it. It's not about getting famous. It's not about the applause. It is about the impact and influence that you want to make, right? So the law of center stage says, how can I be ever more on display? How can I reach more people? Frankly, this is the goal of missionaries, right? Whether they are medical missionaries or biblical missionaries or whatever, right? How can I be ever more on display? How can I reach more people? This should constantly be going through your mind. If you are thinking that you come to the end, like, a common problem with entrepreneurs is that they feel like they are always selling to the same people, right? And like, if you felt that way, then by God, ask yourself every day, like, how can I be, I feel like I'm such a creature of habit, and yet people in my life don't know my routine yet. It drives me freaking nuts. Like, I'm always on live at the same time. Anyway, the law of center stage, making sure you're on display. Like this month, I think I will take the stage virtually in every situation of 9 different organizations, right? Like, these are people who don't know who I am, have probably never heard of Women Who Wow, but I am speaking on their stage, I'm on their podcast, I am speaking to their membership or whatever, right? I have a diligent commitment to making sure that I am being ever more on display, that I'm spreading my message, that I'm deliberate about getting in front of new people. Why? Because otherwise, how do I ever help more people if I'm only talking to the people I know already? So those are the 6 laws that are creating the financial success on their own terms of our most successful women entrepreneurs. The law of enthusiasm, the law of the end vision, the law of the challenge, recommit when challenged, the law of keep going, meaning after success, you got to keep the foot on the gas. If you do too much, stop and start. It's very hard to create momentum. The law of tweaking, right? Like tweaking always, and the law of center stage. So I am really excited to be here with you guys. I also have a very, very, very super duper cheap pocket product I'm going to tell you about. It is Rapid Results, I created in 2010. I last updated it in 2015, and I am going to put a link in the comments below where you can go and get your copy of Rapid Results, because it is not just the updated version of Rapid Results, which tells you everything you need to know about how to create money, right? But it is also a bonus masterclass on how this little pocket product changed my life, made me a full-time infopreneur, and all the things that went into that so many years ago, but also so basic and much of what I'm doing to this day. And a fully updated program with 4 new trainings on mindset, marketing, selling, and putting it all together, like the life of an entrepreneur. So I'm very excited about that. I'll put a link down below. It's $97. I have a method to my madness. It's an amazing program. And for the first 40 people, it's only the first 40 people who get the bonus class about how I became an infopreneur with this exact product. And I'm going to share everything that went into how I launched it when I had no list and no name recognition, and how I had it selling out one time in as little as 21 minutes. So I'm going to share all of those little secrets and hack job strategies that I've always used and relied upon. So anyway, I really want you to buy that. I'm going to put the link in as soon as this is no longer live. And if you have any questions for me about this, about your business, if you just want to introduce yourself to me, message me m.me/womenwhowwow. I would love to hear from you, and look forward to talking to you soon. Bye, guys.